Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are unpacking the absolute clinical reality of staying strong, steady, and totally independent after 60, using 5 highly specific movements. I'm so glad you're here with us. We've all heard the standard advice for older adults, right? But today, we're looking at over 30 years of clinical experience that reveals exactly why that standard advice is actually incomplete, and how it might even be contributing to a slow loss of your independence.
All right, let's just dive right in with a question that you probably think you know the answer to. But I gotta tell you, the clinical reality is surprisingly different. Most people hear that to stay healthy as they age, they just need to keep moving. You know, walk around the neighborhood, do a little stretching, maybe some gardening. It sounds perfectly logical, doesn't it? But is it actually enough to protect your bones, your balance, and your freedom?
Well, it turns out that common advice completely misses the mark. It's a huge myth that simply walking and staying active will prevent muscle loss. Don't get me wrong, those activities are fantastic for your heart and your general well-being. But the truth? They do not stop muscle loss, they do not rebuild strength, and they absolutely do not protect you from falls. Halting that decline requires targeted, controlled strength movements that focus on the exact muscles keeping you stable and upright. And that brings us to the real, totally invisible enemy here. We aren't just fighting aging, we're fighting a very specific medical condition called sarcopenia. It's the gradual, quiet loss of your muscle mass, strength, and overall function. The scariest part is really how silently it starts. Most folks don't even notice it's happening, but by the time you reach your 70s, this condition can rob you of up to 30% of your muscle strength. It's not just weakness, it's literally a structural loss of your body's foundation. But here is the absolute best part, the surprising fact that changes everything. You still have immense power to fight back against this decline. Back in 2018, a study from Harvard Medical School found that adults over 60 who did regular strength training slashed their risk of losing mobility and independence by a staggering 40%. And we are talking about intense, heavy gym workouts. We're talking about simple, consistent movements that give you a 40% lower risk of losing your freedom. To get those exact results without touching a heavy weight, we're gonna follow a clear roadmap today. First, we'll look at the hidden muscle thief, then building your balance foundation, creating power for daily life, mastering the ultimate mobility movement, and finally, your daily action plan. Let's get to it. Section 1, the hidden muscle thief. You know, sarcopenia doesn't just make you weaker, it completely changes how you interact with the world. It quietly steals the strength from the exact stabilizing muscles that keep us upright. Because of this, your reaction times slow down, your balance decreases. Suddenly, everyday movements you used to take for granted, like getting up from a really deep sofa, start to feel like an Olympic event. You might just think, oh, I'm just getting older. But what's actually happening is those specific stabilizing muscles haven't been trained the right way.
So how do we fix it? That brings us to section 2, building your balance foundation.
Let's look at exercise number 1, the supported single leg stand. Clinically speaking, balance isn't just something you magically keep, it's something you have to actively train. You do this by standing next to a chair, holding it with one hand, standing nice and tall and lifting one foot just a few inches off the ground. Hold that for 10 to 15 seconds and then slowly switch. Why does this matter? Because every single step you take when walking is essentially a moment of single leg balance. This directly engages your glutes, your quads, and those tiny but mighty ankle stabilizers. And this is exactly why this first movement is completely non-negotiable. Back in 2015, the University of Pittsburgh proved that failing to train this exact single leg function directly spikes your risk of falling. When you don't train this, your body reacts slower, you feel unsteady, and if you do happen to lose your balance, you simply cannot correct it in time. Next up is the side step with support. Honestly, a lot of people skip this because they think walking forward is enough. But walking forward doesn't train your side-to-side stability at all. Just stand behind a chair, hold the back, and take a small, controlled step to the side. Bring the other foot to meet it, pause to stabilize yourself, and then step back the other way. Taking about 2 seconds per step really trains your vital hip muscles to keep your body from swaying when you shift your weight. Listen to this. Johns Hopkins researchers found in 2017 that keeping this specific hip area strong is literally your body's built-in protection system. When your side-to-side stability is weak, your steps become way less controlled, and small, everyday slips become incredibly hard to correct. So this exercise isn't just movement, it's your active protection against falls. Moving right along to section 3, power for daily life. All right, exercise 3 is the sit to stand.
Clinicians point out that this is actually one of the very first abilities to decline after 60, yet we mostly ignore it because it looks too simple. Sit on a firm chair, lean your chest forward slightly, and stand up slowly over about 2 seconds. But here's the real secret. Sit back down slowly, taking 3 full seconds. Don't just let gravity drop you. This targets your quadriceps and glutes. If you ignore this one, getting out of bed or off the toilet becomes a daily struggle.
The University of Cambridge backed this up heavily in 2014. They found that a lower sit-to-stand performance is a primary indicator of reduced independence and a much higher fall risk. This seemingly simple movement is quite literally the clinical benchmark for maintaining your physical freedom as you age. It really is that important. For our fourth exercise, we're moving down to the lower leg for heel raises. People always focus entirely on the thighs and completely forget the lower legs, but your calf muscles are absolutely essential. Stand tall, holding a chair, rise onto your toes slowly for 2 seconds, hold for a second at the top, and then lower down over 3 seconds. Stay in total control. These muscles are vital because they control your push-off when you walk, and crucially, they act as your body's brakes. According to a 2018 study out of Wake Forest University, stronger calf muscles are directly linked to better walking speed. But even more than that, these are the exact muscles that help you catch yourself if you lean forward or trip. When your calves are weak, your steps get shorter, you walk slower, and your ability to safely recover from a stumble is severely compromised. Which brings us to section 4, the ultimate mobility movement. Exercise 5 is the step up. Now, this is the master exercise. It might look like you're just taking a step, but you're actually training for one of the most demanding tasks we do every single day, climbing stairs. Face a low step, like the bottom stair at home, hold a railing, place your foot fully on the step, and slowly push your whole body weight upward. Take 2 seconds up and 3 seconds to step back down with absolute control. This brilliantly combines your quads, glutes, and hamstrings for peak functionality. As McMaster University showed back in 2016, mastering this specific step-based movement significantly improves your overall lower body function. If you don't train this, stairs become super intimidating. You start avoiding them, your overall activity drops, and your strength declines even faster. But when you master the step up, you literally restore your ability to climb freely and stay totally independent. Let's wrap it all together in section 5, your daily action plan. So, how exactly do we put this whole routine together? It's easier than you think. For the single leg stand, aim for 4 to 6 reps per leg just once a day. For side steps, sit-to-stands, and heel raises, try to do 2 sets of each daily. The step up is a bit more demanding, so 3 to 5 times a week is perfect. Notice that the goal here is absolutely not to lift heavy weights or exhaust yourself until you're in pain. The true secret is just performing these controlled movements consistently and slowly reducing your hand support over time as your body adapts. The absolute most important takeaway from all this clinical data is this: it is never ever too late. You don't need to do everything perfectly on day 1. Just start small, move slowly, and stay consistent. Whether you're in your 60s, your 70s, your 80s, or beyond, your body will absolutely still respond and adapt to this correct, targeted training. At this stage of life, strength is all about maintaining total control over your body. So, armed with all this clinical knowledge and a solid action plan, I'm going to leave you with one final, vital question to think about. Which of these 5 exercises will you start today? Because the difference between physical dependence and total independence tomorrow is the one small step you choose to take right now. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep moving and stay strong.